Outrider Knights, under the watchful eyes of their master, maintain Pontiff Sullivan's influence over the land, strategically stationed at key points across Lothric, to stand above the rest, and thus serve a greater role, guarding Lothric Castle, keeping out potential champions, and perhaps locking in both the current regime and Cemetery of Ash. Dancer protects the inner keep, while today's focus, Vordt of the Boreal Valley, Gatekeeps. Twisted by the Pontiff's influence, these once gallant knights have doubled over, taking a bestial stance, well on their way to true de-evolution, insinuated by Irithyll Sullivan's beast-eyed ring drop. Outriders fight with equal parts skillful grace and animalistic savagery. Vordt is no different, though he lacks eloquence outside of his somewhat fluid movement, flinging around his great weight. Truly a meathead, squat and bulky, that vile watchdog smashes all who approach into icy mush. In sharp and frosty contrast to Yudix-Gundir's infested incantations, a Vordt build is incredibly simple. Run up Liurnia's left, befriend Boggart along the way, grab Hoarfrost's Stomp for early cold affinity, leap off this precipice next to Carria Manor to reach Bellum Highway and our targeted Great Mace. Why did I not know about this path before? I've been warping through Raya Lucaria up to this point. Head down the cliff face to enter the Crystal Tunnel, where we can crush these stony miners with strike damage, then die to a Crystallian like a chump. Is it just me, or is it strange that a crystal is susceptible to frost? I guess it makes sense. Extreme cold can cause rock to contract and split. Still, I instinctively expect only fleshy, organic creatures to be vulnerable to cold. Anyway, bell bearing in tow and runes combined with a nearby tree, I can purchase my interim armor set. This is the part where I tell you this isn't actually my first Elden Ring Vordt rodeo, nor is it the playthrough I streamed here on YouTube. Allow me to introduce my 20 terabyte external raid array dubbed Big Bachucha. No idea where I got the name, but I'm almost certain I didn't come up with it myself. Bachuch is dead, or rather the enclosure itself no longer works. I'm 90% sure the drives are fine. In theory, I could just spend $100 and swap them over to an identical model of the same enclosure, rescuing the stranded footage. So anyway, this is Bachucha, my 24 terabyte external RAID array with 4 bays instead of 5 because I cheaped out. You may think it dumb to spend $700 to build an entirely new array, but say I do eventually revive the old one. Then I can have Bachuch be redundancy if Bachuch ever fails. Now my old run isn't actually lost, this is why I have an archive channel in the first place. Yet here's the thing, YouTube's compression really chews up video quality. Downloading, then uploading the same footage, again, will only make things worse. A real Xerox of a Xerox situation. Or at least it is on my end. I've yet to try a test upload to see how bad my footage will be garbled. It may be indistinguishable to you, the viewer. Observing the video as we speak. Here's run 1, and now run 2. 1, 2, 1, and 2. Depending how this segment renders out, I may just re-download my missing runs. For now, though, we're gonna act like that stranded data is lost media. I have my reasons. Part of my lack of uploads last year was due to the monstrous Elden Ricky challenge, proving daunting to produce. Shit shaping up to be a 2-hour video. While procrastinating on that project, I completed it a no lock-on spear-only run, which I also intended to turn into a much shorter video. Then there was the already finished Vordt, Greatwood, and Gravetender builds, though I need to redo the latter regardless, parrying isn't actually legal. Suffice it to say, I had a massive backlog of work, but this twist of fate wiped the slate clean. Now, unburdened by an imposing mass of footage, I've been able to crank out the Bloodborne vids in a timely fashion. And since I've been wanting a break from that game, redoing Vordt sounded lucrative. Plus, with the run fresh in my mind, accurately capturing the story of my journey will be easier. I'll still reference back to that Lost run on occasion when relevant, like right now. My final fashion is fairly deep into the game, the helm specifically being found in Shadow Keep. Plus, there's lore reasons to put off that transformation. Look at our two named Outriders as they set out from Irithyll. Tall and lanky, yet otherwise human. normal knights who will be corrupted by the two Pontifi rings. Rings whose Elden Ring equivalents lie in the endgame, Godskin Swaddling Cloth, left eye being located at mountaintops, and Rotten Wing Sword insignia, right eye, being given by Millicent in Elf Hell. Needless to say, it'll take some time to reach, so interim armor is due. Interim gear, as a whole, particularly armor, isn't so heavily restricted in this challenge, but I did want fitting drip. After all, we'll be looking at it for quite some time. Had no set in mind my first run, besides the Bloodhound set far off at an Altus hero grave, which when unused since the basic armor set sold in Roundtable Hold is fitted with Rime Blue cloth, making it somewhat similar to DS3's Icy Outrider set, all while supporting the concept of an ordinary knight in ordinary armor being warped into an extraordinary beast. I doubt there will be any objection to Vordt's armor, however I can foresee controversy arising from the Stone Club. Vordt slams his fist down as an attack, potentially repeatedly, an animation akin to Club R1 spam. I chose a clubbing hammer which would blend with the gray lumpy metal of Vordt's armor, but I can't deny the elongated length of the sidearm hardly resembles an arm. Sure, I could have employed another fist weapon, but Gundyr just did that playstyle, and beside, L1 punches don't mirror the downward trajectory of Vordt's attack, nor would a right-handed heavy jab. Vordt does wield his great hammer in his left. I didn't maintain that detail as Warcry would buff the wrong weapon. We'll talk about skills momentarily. A detail I did maintain, one to contrast Gundyr, is two-handing. Phase 1 Vordt generally wields his mace with one hand, but Phase 2 features numerous two-handed strikes. My runs rarely use this playstyle, however the slightly altered moveset and two-hand strength boost, despite split cold scaling, was helpful in certain fights. I wanted to keep my left hand open for the club, as well as Vordt's famously vulnerable Frost Breath. Dragon Ice is the obvious analog, as well as obviously redundant, considering my primary attack has little issue proccing Frost. The point of LARP was never practicality. My first run pretty much ignored its existence, so I went out of my way to use it on the Redux. Gotta justify the effort it took to obtain. Grail is always a pain in the ass, skewing to nuke the entire bridge with his carpet bomb. Neither sidearm proved simple to collect, despite my club dropping quickly in Vordt's first romp. I wasn't so lucky on repeat, tried grinding immediately, but made little progress because of non-existent DPS. Survival ain't guaranteed either, and since I had already cleared market to level endurance to stop fat rolling, really hard to do by the way, that could be a challenge unto itself owing to short roll distance. I'd figured I'd reach smithing 3 breakpoint first. Frankly, smithing 1 should be smithing 0. Market can feel overly tanky without upgrades, but that power level feels right for Godric. He was a real boss since I wasn't overleveled like Gundyr. His grab dealt significant damage. Frost helped compensate a lack of upgrades, meanwhile Great Hammer stance damage felt rewarding. Riposte damage was appreciated under these conditions, their sizable chunk not solely adding insult to injury during a curb stomp. A pervasive phenomena for like half this run, Vordt, fitting my storyline thematically, gave a middling performance prior to his transformation. Playing this build, I did indeed feel like an ordinary knight, managing measly victories against Elden Ring's bosses. Those took exploration of my kit, spurred on by recent Bloodborne gameplay conditioning me to find interplay in my moveset, string together efficient combos. A mindset leading to a long-anticipated Somberstone Battle Mage drop. Didn't even know that was in their loot table. 2 kills later, I got a club. As for my final weapon, the catalyst of choice was naturally the Dragon Communion Seal. Again, seals aren't subject to the reuse ban. There aren't enough for every build, which is good cause Dragon Ice needs the buff. Rot Breath this ain't. Actual AR from this spell is minuscule. Frost buildup is the primary usage. Okay, let's be real, Dragon Ice's primary usage is style. While I was there, I fought the ulcerated tree and won an extra seed. Quite miraculously if I do say so myself. Burned all my flasks cause I'm rusty, yet clutched out on a sliver. Bouncing between games means I go long periods away from certain Elden Ring bosses. A nice way to break old habits, yes, but also easy to forget new tech. Bosses I hadn't struggled against in forever proved annoying. I look like an idiot versus Red Wolf, getting hit by everything. Almost clutched it out too, a Frost Dagger netting a killing riposte, but alas, time made me forget about the stupid disjointed weak points shared by Medir and Romina. R1 spam did not secure a kill. Honestly, kind of a microcosm of early Vordt. Renala was more irritating than difficult, spamming out summons, never presenting an opening. A good way to wait out my Warcry buff, now usable with access to the Glintstone Whetblade. Vordt's hammer always inflicts frostbite. In order to use his phase transition roar, the one which enables his famous charging onslaught, I need a cold infusion. It's a blessing and a curse. Frostbite burst bypasses her resistance to my split magic damage, though it doesn't proc as often as Great Hammer Speed fails to pin her down consistently. The class isn't the best dueling weapon, particularly at a stat disadvantage. Hammers contrast comparably deadly axes by sacrificing speed for poise, both in health and damage. Great hammers knock motherfuckers around, and get knocked around in return, leaving little breathing room to avoid oncoming attacks. Weaving through O'Neill's adds was easier said than done. Left prone during long combos necessary to kill each summon, my health got erased by off-screen combatants. Had to repeat this process. Slow charge led to a rot proc, invalidating my attempt as Vordt is immune to status. Fortune would swing in my favor round 2, my R2 charge tanking through as intended, proccing Frost on the riposte, and the following R1 combo barely securing the kill. Not before dropping yet another riposte early in the fight. Hopefully this won't be a recurring issue. Like status procs on doing progress, I hate the stupid red main castle poison bat. I hate the gank boss too. I need more HP, damn it. I'm taking my anger out on Loretta. Delaying her magic resistant status immune ass paid off in a satisfying duel, featuring cool integration of my fist slam buffering combos. Apostle didn't go well. That's an understatement. I haven't had an Apostle this bad since my first playthrough, owing to the same reason, frailty. One poor interaction and I'm dead from full. I'd call up one-shots, but in truth he's hitting me twice in quick succession, so really we're talking about endless 0 to death combos. Eventually I got fed up with the stalled progress and breached LARP, shedding armor to fast roll. Not like it made me any more fragile, it's still a 2-shot. Not in the spirit of the challenge, though I'm pretty sure Vordt's first run maintained fashion for his Apostle victory. And besides, I basically already won an earlier attempt. Look how close that was. Just barely not enough stamina. Would have helped if the physic wasn't empty. Whoops. Great hammers aren't the best dueling class, at least not with this build. I did eventually overcome the red main gank, perhaps due to the measly 5 vigor levels Apostle granted, proving yes, Sage will likely be able to grab White Dragon Breath early. Now I'm free to step foot on Altus. Yay! I can continue to flounder, failing to kill Lloyd's demi-human queen quickly, and experiencing the single longest Onyx Lord fight in history. Suppose my progression guide is paying off, Elden Ring's difficulty persists throughout each stage of a run. If I remember to reapply Warcry, Vordt probably would have beat Radahn 1 first try. Instead he had to settle for a second try victory. Didn't take long, DPS is livable. Man, do I take damage though. I need HP. Vordt has, fittingly, felt so frail. Glad I dodged the drill run at the end. Not sure I've ever pulled that off before. Another chunk of runes, still not even 30 vigor. To be fair, I wanted to buy Radahn's armor now so as to not forget later. Color-wise, it's ill-fitting, but consider this. In lore, Starscourge Radahn is bloated by rot, corrupting his form, reducing him to a bestial state. Not dissimilar to a state brought on by Pontiff's Eye Ring Blight. Plus, the fur breaching the chinks in the armor does match Vordt fairly close. We remain a ways away from an ideal mask though. Regardless, Underground is unlocked. We can continue grinding through Vordt's humble beginnings. Doing busy work, setting side quests in motion, killing easy bosses, charging down Mimic for an easy win, checking off Regal Ancestor Spirit. I think my notes sum it up best. Honestly, kind of a microcosm of mid-game Vordt. Nothing a heavily resisted Frostproc into Riposte couldn't rectify. Try healing that off, bitch. I could continue underground, but I do need to prioritize mountaintops to access both my mask and eye rings. Kinda lame to save it for later, then again, I want something to trounce after transformation. Wouldn't mind a valiant stop. Can't leave Gelmir, all those boss runes are needed for 40 vigor. Repeat what I said about Renala for Worm, replacing summons for charging. Apostle can somewhat be carried over for Noble, except now getting tagged constantly doesn't instantly end a run. Getting pushed into Black Flame Ritual does. Noble using Pillar to sharply turn his dreaded rolling attack also made me mad. Granted, botched rolls are no small part responsible. At least they weren't as detrimental versus Draconic. Picking up from our other horseback boss, Offhand Club kept up pressure for a respectable first try victory. Same can be said for Elemer and Falling Star Beast. Why did I ever have trouble with these two? Uneven terrain and odd collision induce missing and clipping. Definitely annoying. A two-handed Great Hammer makes for easy content and fast staggers, balancing out said annoyance. Elemer can be obnoxious to heal against, but one needs not heal if you simply dodge correctly. You can't buffer rolls, there's a cadence to the timing, when I had a feel for this run. Fast sidearm gave low commitment options for mid-combo punishes, while R2s were viable at the end of his attack strings. I kicked his shit in by the end. Not all of Vordt's humble beginnings were arduous, just most of them. There were glimpses of his future animalistic strength. I don't want to underestimate how miserable I was during that 7.5 hour second recording session. I hadn't recalled such hardship on Vordt's first run, yet round 2 sure instilled a sense of acute weakness starting out. A third of the run was low-key brutal. Recordings 3 through 6, same length as 2, would rectify that ordinary strength. Lane Dell gates off the Forbidden Lands. Health in tow and held at Smithing 5 by my arbitrary breakpoints, charging down the critical path is our only option now. Elden Ring's next few bosses aren't a great matchup for a cold Great Mace, but I persevered. Status immunity and neutral defenses didn't compel me to play conservatively versus piss-free. Blind aggression got me killed, pinned against the wall, however ballsy tanking wore down his stance, offering burst damage I couldn't achieve with Frost. Same was true against Morgott, though he flips the script, being fairly weak to all status. I'm noticing he deals relatively little poise damage from his curved greatsword. Both rolling and Warcry charges went unbroken, channeling Vordt's iconic, unrelenting bulk even in the intermediate Outrider Knight set. I knocked him silly, delaying the Phase 2 transition. Morgott began to mount a comeback, combos putting me on the back foot, yet he made DS3's classic fatal mistake. Aggressively dodging in to counter as Vordt dashed across the arena, he didn't respect the Frost Breath, leading to an embarrassing loss to an early boss, sending Morgott back to the high wall bonfire, wasting time he was trying to save via a quick kill. I told you I'd make use of Dragon Ice! Onto a snow level. Kinda figured Deathrite Bird would be rough since I think of Ghost Flame as magic fire, thus inferring magic resistance. Not true. He's neutral to both magic and fire, immune to frost, but also very weak to strike. Suppose that's unsurprising for a boss who lives in death. Altogether, those factors balance out to a decent matchup, perhaps favoring the bird on account of insane damage output. I get stuck on a rock briefly and there goes the run. Ghost Flame hurts so fucking bad. Plus I can't suffer Frostbite because I'd fail RP. My skill came out on top regardless, twitchy attacks navigated well enough to recover any misstep. Another frustrating boss I've begun to master in DS3. Fuck! Wrong game. Elden Ring. I'm keeping that in. I did not succeed in dodging Niall's Frost. Twice. And my dumbass kept getting read by his thrust. Commander's standard is the longest halberd, and I didn't respect that range. Shame to flounder here after somehow surviving Castle Soul, Bloodborne chalices got me in the habit of mobbing where I don't need to. In the end, Vordt could handle his adds decently if I didn't get greedy. A mid-fight bolus break preventing a third Frost fail. Jumping beat Niall into the ground, while Club narrowly counters each attack in his combo strings. Keep stamina in check, but otherwise wearing through Niall's massive health pool cleanly is possible. As was clearing Liturgical Town. Corner fucking the Black Knife remains a shockingly consistent strategy, unlike my Battle Mage gameplay. Died several times just trying to reach Loretta 2. It was a first try. Resisting magic and frost, my increasingly outpaced mace made her comparably tanky to Niall. A long fight made stressful as the threat of dying to a Battle Mage loomed overhead. I clutched up though. We've almost reached our first I-ring. Just gotta get through the Rot Swamp and I forgot boluses. I'd neglected to pick up Albinauric Village's Medallion Half 2. Rushing the critical path left me unprepared in multiple ways. After an incidental Pestglaive drop, watch Gundir's run if you haven't already, Dragon Ice was genuinely useful for Ulcerated. Threat of Rot forcing resets makes Vordt approach skittishly. Heaps of time is wasted as the AI gets confused moving into position. I miss out on increased damage, yet it allows Frost to run its course, leading to more burst damage. My Frost Breath provides those procs during times where melee isn't feasible. Good fortune followed. Millicent didn't shit the bed for once, actually spamming Waterfowl, killing her sisters quick, all without falling to her death. Right eye acquired. I'd see the buff trigger frequently throughout the rest of the playthrough. Did it noticeably impact combat? Didn't seem like it, but let's just say it did. Same is true for Pontiff's left eye, whose acquisition occurred much quicker. I really do got a feel for Fatty, earning a first try victory over these Godskins to save face, doing so despite frost immunity. And so, Sullivan's influence begins to corrupt our hero. Yet one piece of the puzzle still remains, and acquisition will indeed be slow. To Scatland! I forgot Eleanor's Purifying Crystal Tier. God damn it. Moog 2, neutral to Vordt's now very underpowered Great Hammer, Gatekeeps Mikola via Bleed. Not like a forced reset after Bleed, he killed me with the burst damage, and by skewering me into the ground, ending an attempt which saw his iconic poor internet giving me a free stagger. Life isn't fair. I made up for my mistake in the following winning attempt, dodging the fatal delayed explosion twice. The club helped out a ton, slotting in extra hits repeatedly for steady staggers. DLC access can only mean one thing, running around picking up scat. Though this trip would only pick up fragments found on my way to Gatekeeps, not intending to clear the level 5 breakpoint. I did not want to fight Lion or Rolana without a maxed hammer. I saved tedious item collection for later. For now, I'd undergo tedious NPC questing, talking to Letta, fought Queeline during my travels, compensating Vordt's low stats through mind games. Recent Bloodborne FRC chalices have improved my NPC game. I racked up long combos, interrupting his reactionary escapes with club slams. In Vordt's first run, I messed up. In order to assassinate Ansbach, you need to progress Freya's quest. Freya is weird. Completing her quest doesn't lead to her siding with you in Enir Ilum, but rather against you. She probably said something to insinuate that in her dialogue. I don't typically listen when women talk. My blunder resulted in a rule caveat which I don't really need to maintain in light of the Redux. I allowed summoning for Letta if it ended up a 3 or more on 1. For the sake of expedience. No one wants to see me get ganked by NPCs. They want to see Radahn too. Said failsafe wasn't necessary. I simply killed Freya in cold blood once I unlocked Ansbach's duel. It was a bit premature. He drops a letter if you progress quests out of sequence like I did. I could have still obtained her Golden Lion shield prior to ending her life. Oh well, it's an item which will be illegal in all LARP runs. Except I guess I could work as Valorheart, but I mean it's a medium shield so it's not a perfect fit, whatever. Such tech won't ever be practically applied. What matters is Freya's dead so I can feasibly fight Letta. A Fire Knight made sure of it. While in Shadowkeep, I took a commendable shot at Mesmer. Fun duel, yet beating him now, as a mere knight, is stupid. Vordt, humble warrior that he is, fought bravely, but what is a mere man compared to a demigod? Vort's not reacting well to the Scadu air, and I'm not reacting well to the stupid fucking gargoyle poison. I just could not manage to maintain LARP. I'm glad I saved the underground for the bestial corruption. Technically, Vordt has a near ideal matchup here. Gargoyles are like the only boss weak to magic. Or well, they're weak to strike, neutral to magic, and resist all other elements. I'd bemoan their frost immunity, but given how rarely the two separated, I wasn't gonna proc it anyway. I mean, Satis might have killed Gargoyle 1 prior to his friend arriving, who knows. All I know is Vordt got terrible luck. His newfound bloated bulk, tanking through and eventually prevailing. Don't look at this Estelle, it was atrocious. My fault. The vibes were supposed to improve after Rebirth. The preceding baleful duel shows what was supposed to happen. Look at Vordt shrug that shit off. Even backed into a corner, he charges back in to win using lacerating cross-tree damage. Yeah, I also got that from Letta's quest on my way to the Wise Man's Mask. 3 talisman slots, locked to debatably insignificant effects. Would have been all 4 if I bit the bullet and made Axe Talisman, boosting Warcry R2s, mandatory, but I had mercy on myself. Anyway, the drip's not too shabby, eh? Wrong color, yet the fur poking out the mask and armor tie the look together. Rebirth girth is a bit odd. Vordt's not normally bipedal, so the stumpy limbs hang awkwardly close. One-handing alleviates that quirk. Overall, I'm very happy with how it turned out. Despite his slime's best efforts, Vordt engaged Ronnie, setting in motion an age of the deep. Space. Oh, but we're not done with women and questing and endings. There's unfinished business underground. But in order to do that, Vordt must first suffer through my favorite part of Elden Ring, talking to Fia. I just love long unskippable animations and quitting out to advance NPC progression. Her simps are also not something I look forward to, however there's some merit today. They seem like a good target to bowl over using Vordt's newfound bestial strength. True for clubbing the first two, Lionel out-tanked me. Can't blame Dragon Ice, poor application on my end led to failure. The other cronies were also little more than annoying. First died quick, second did his usual rancor-guarded endure shenanigans. Maybe I'm too passive, but those death spells hit too hard to feasibly challenge. Radon armor mid-roll poise was nice though. Vorticex, my payoff for fucking with Fia, did provide Vordt's cathartic metamorphosis, in a bastardized sense. I was playing poorly that recording, but my newly updated build allowed Vordt to mindlessly throw his weight at the dragon. Okay, it wasn't devoid of strategy, purely coasting on numbers. I prioritized boosted running attacks. Vorticex's lightning aura promotes hit and run strategies, so Vordt leaped in with his space closing DS3 attack. With his death, I finally cleared the Smithing 5 breakpoint, and by extension, Vigor 40. You can see why I implemented that rule against Vorticex. 60 would be overkill considering how well repeated lightning was tanked. Rules have value, and it makes my videos more engaging. That said, give me HP now! Straight to Renala, do not pass go, do not collect $200. A lot of side content at this point of progression has already been completed, so it's back to the critical path after an out-of-sequence mode 1. Naturally easier than his second incarnation, he is immune to frost here, not immune to staggers or club buffered rolls. Not surprising I played Moog well, being required in any percent DLC completion, his kit is always fresh in my mind. Fire Giant should be as well, yet he never goes smoothly. Except for Vordt. May or may not have gone a no-hit, 1 hit, 2 hit, who counts Fire Dot anyway? 3 hit, okay it kinda fell apart at the end. Phase 2 takes forever if you fight him honorably, hence why things go awry. There's plenty of time for it to happen. Would have gone faster if I clubbed his wrists more, the vertical slam downward precisely striking weak flesh, but then I wouldn't have had as many frost procs. Seriously, Fire Giant is supposed to be highly resistant to frost. Sure doesn't feel like it. My attempt to kill via a Dragon Ice proc was commendable, topping off build-up with R1 spam, however base AR finished the job. In hindsight, I could have allotted more blue. Normally I need the red though, whatever. Foreskin Duo. Vordt got a W versus Spirit Duo, the two Godskins individually collecting a total score of 1. How did the tie-breaking final bout go? Using the pillars separates our two combatants, then big poise damage and status procs eventually bring it to a 1v1. At which point, meaty frost-boosted Great Hammer heavies provide sufficient DPS to keep it even. Vordt's bulk, whose absence caused my early Godskin woes, permits such aggressive play. Unfortunately, a perfectly cast ritual juggled me on a pillar, leading to a single death. Can't complain, I also abused pillars to stop the roll and sneak in Dragon Ice burst damage. Next attempt saw more honorable fatty evasion, almost. Not before the duo showcased teamwork again. Lost most of my resources leveling the playing field. Luckily, laying on poise damage interrupted the revive, allowing Vordt to plow through their remaining HP. Very weird watching back Noble footage sans parry and sleep. Godskin Duo play entirely different than the Origin runs. All in all, I gotta give the edge to Vordt. A close contest, but his staggering might quashed their offense. Maxed out Vordt's Great Hammer, time to go back to the past to play a shitty fight that sucks ass. Placidusex's arena is dope. Gives me something to look at while I wait for his sluggish attacks to play out. Somehow got numerous frost procs through his massive resistances. I'd say the defense debuffs sped things up, however his glacial speed stalled out the debuff timer. An endurance fight between two tanks, Vordt got knocked around. All that punishment, plus a laser to the dome, I always miss his final sweep, drained Estus. Yet Dragon Lord was unable to zone long enough to refresh stance, resulting in a clutch stagger into riposte kill. Not hard, boring and long, never so dangerous as to require a foolproof strategy. Like defense talismans. I've had immunizing horn on since gargoyles. Whoops. Never noticed Haligtree looks like Mikola. Bit lame to forego club, it ain't exactly useful for jousting millennia. Accurate vertical slams from two-handed great mace are clearly superior, Frost triggering easily, exploiting her weakness. Better stance damage also helps, offense wasn't a problem. Sucks not having mobility, fast rolling is ideal for millennia, bulk does compensate though. After doing some origin runs, shrugging off waterfowl like this is cathartic. Didn't utilize Vordt's signature dash attacks to remedy positioning, she'd read those inputs. Gotta stay neutral, walk up and poke using Mace's surprisingly adequate reach. Phase 2's frantic desperation kept Millennia close. Her aggression couldn't outmuscle Radahn, Vordt easily bullied her too. She should have kept jumping, except her rot butterflies gave an opening to charge. It's minus on hit, yet poise shrugs off counterattacks, smashing out a stagger in response. Genuinely a great Millennia if I do say so myself. This is the part where I say I got distracted by Abba on my second monitor, wasn't looking at the game as she waterfowled, fumbled the controller, somehow leaping backwards, only to sight read Aeonia while laughing hysterically. Then, in my infinite wisdom, I whip out Dragon Ice after she already recovered. Froststun bailed me out. Another sucker punch came in the form of a clone attack backed against the wall, but Vordt survived this comedy of errors, earning a first try victory. Here I make a mistake. Unable to recall exact properties of Vordt's Phase 2 moveset, I mistakenly thought all attacks possessed a Frost aura. Not so. Only the Mace and Breath build up. Full body hitboxes and fist slams do not. My brief misconception led me to use a Cold Stone club. Luckily, I'd second guess myself shortly, but do note I technically wrote LARP for the next 4 bosses, most of which would benefit from build-up retention due to Frost weakness. Oh well, unfair advantage aside, Rykard would have gone down easy regardless. Maybe I should keep him in the Smithing 5 tier, enforce the progression guide. To be fair, it's pure RNG, not representative of true scaling, but 9 remaining flasks tell a story. Could have been 10, final heal wasn't necessary. Then again, Rykard is hot garbage, stat restriction could lead to failed attempts, and thus tedious repetition. I'm gonna say Vordt is simply strong versus Snake. He may resist whacking, magic is mediocre, low frost defense makes up the difference. Blasphemous Flame unable to sear our boreal boss. Lion Ice is a weirdly greater threat, a side effect of bouncing between games and doing lean any % runs. I forget everything. I'm here fighting with only a vague recollection of previous observations. Should I be locked on? Probably not. Vordt wouldn't have been able to dance Lion's Dance as well. I doubt I could have pulled off that fatal riposte tethered to a single widely point either. Did you see Regen invalidate their onslaught? Not gonna lie, Vordt's beginning to be an unstoppable force. Now Rellana is the exact kind of combatant to counter muscle-brained Brawn. She merits mindful maneuvering, like Noble, observing her flurry of strikes, planning rolls so as to dodge multiple strikes with one movement. To dodge with a cadence as opposed to spam rolling trying to bullshit my way through her combos. Oh, believe me, I know how she ticks. That being said, Vordt is a tank. Combos, cinematic magic, yada yada, who cares? Frost bailout, ugly end, but did you see that start? Pretty slick. Scadu 10 now, and another snake to be whacked. For real this time. Witness the stark contrast between an ordinary man and an unsightly beast. The Pontiff's influence sees Vordt flatten Mesmer. He's humanoid, so maybe I could have riposted from behind. Then again, R1 combos play into my Pontiff I build. Swaddling Cloth HP recovery on top of regen, soaking up damage. Such tanking permits the use of Dragon Ice for a stylish finish, but him being frosted already, and failing to consider Breath's innate chip, I just resorted to a bonk on the head. Hippo's thick hide is hard to penetrate. Vordt froze Fire Giant and Placidusex repeatedly. Need I say more? Not even geometry stops Vordt's charge. Like two territorial animals butting heads, these two hulking masses plowed into each other. Our Outrider Knight, after accommodating stupid hit detection, dominated that bloated hog. Or I guess whale? A quick glance at Wikipedia says hippos are closer to cetaceans. Vordt, still being closer to human probably at this point, a superior order of life form to overgrown fish, naturally won the matchup. A tree, that's a toughie. Bramble hurts, man. This Scadu variety threatens bleed and exploits my memory. I forgot how to dodge Scadu land. And the explosion. I don't know if I ever had concrete strats for the latter. And the former suffers from mid-roll distance. Actually, most attacks would be easier at light load. I didn't forget how obnoxious hitting the damn sunflower is. Well, there's the first death of the session, ending a streak of first try victories. Shame. Guess I'll stop for the day. Coming back, I failed to dodge correctly, but regen bailed me out for a second try victory. I do not like that tree, because I never learn. Bloodborne has worked to make me very critical of my previous approaches. I see where I went wrong in the past. Better luck next time for Tree v Tree, one last Scadu 10 boss. On the way, realize the first finger ruin has a straight shot to its epicenter. Neat. Over to Putrescent, who's weak to strike, neutral to magic, immune to frost. I finally double-checked Vordt's canonical kit. Goodbye Frost Fist. Not like it'll be useful against a notoriously slippery target. Great hammers were though. Good old dodge left and buffer attack worked. Made some dumb healing choices. I'm not wearing Lloyds, nor are these safe windows. Mindlessness mirrored in end tanking. Dragon Ice would have killed, had I any blue stis. One red stis remained, allotment was viable. Certainly true versus Gaius, he's almost always routed in, guards too much scat. Besides, he's fun, and apparently not challenging, no use skipping. 10 flasks left over. 10! There's merit to moving him down to Scadu 10. It'd make for a clean 2-5-5-2 Scadu split. Vordt charges are inferior to Vordt charges, despite magic defense, easy dub. Ancient Dragon Man normally isn't, but Vordt took shockingly little damage poise tanking. Great Katana windup gave time for R2s to hit their guarded frames. All attempts to push me off got quashed. When he ran, I ran too, lunging for the kill. Jagged Peak looks best at night, if a bit hard to see. Shame I died, resetting time of day, as well as wasting a double riposte phase 1. Bale is probably the most notable victim of fading memory, partly because he's the toughest boss I won't typically fight, and because he's technical, lots to forget. Makes me sad because he's far and away the best boss I skip. Sucks to play so poorly when I do go out of my way to challenge him. I know I can play phase 2 better, increase aggression to kill faster. I've done it before, I just can't remember how I did it. Didn't write it down, forgot my pen, typical. Long bouts mean dwindling flasks, necessitating a clutch victory. Pulled it off a second try. Can't forget Meter, her strats are burned into my brain. Be aggressive, never let up. Suits a status build, she ain't weak to freeze, but boy did she. Magic is a poor element here, didn't matter. Get in that ass and hit anything in front of you. Never knew you can just run left to avoid phase 2 triple laser. Spin to win, like Tree Explosion, is a crapshoot. Probably a correct timing exists, I don't know, I just kill her before she kills me. Fog Rift Gravity killed me more than her, Jury, and Midra combined. Vordt's one death between those three came at the hand, or hands, of the Inquisitors. Vordt's a tank, as slow as one, poise isn't static. I can get pinned down, and worn down by chip from multiple parties when it doesn't register my invulnerable backstab. Vordt took his anger out on the second attempt, bullying Jury into back-to-back ripostes. Tried using breath to clear the clones, only managing a small cough of frost, though it's all I needed. Midra got deleted. I'm gonna do the same song and dance every video. I was edging, emerging, breaking madness. I respectfully danced him to death. The 20-minute walk through Abyssal Woods wasn't worth it. Cool boss, shit area on repeat. Pest Threads killed Vordt, Romina didn't. Walked in, 6 flasks to my name, used 4, 1. She's neutral to magic strike, weak to frost. She's also very easy. Not to riposte, mind you. I got Meter and Hippo down. Hers still confuses me. Not like extra damage is necessary, nor was Rot defense. Can we replay that cartwheel hit as I crab up? I'm not wearing Lloyd's or Dragon Crest Great Shield. Heavy armor is nice. So's Dragon Ice. Should've used it. My bad. Had the wiggle room. Got to rectify the Lost Letter rule break. I can never seem to pull off a Dane quick kill. Guess Vort'll do it the long, tedious way. Gaps in Dane's kit are actually long enough to activate Poise. Add in Frost and he didn't last long after. Threw in running attacks for good measure. Bet she regrets giving me that talisman. Delayed combo extension and a bonk on the head ended Letta. I was unable to run it back for a first try Radon 2, third time's the charm. Regardless, you're going to look at my old garbled footage for a bit as evidence. Needless to say, old on-mic stream VODs when I used YouTube, the recordings from YouTube's backend, aren't salvageable. Far too garbled zoomed in to crop out overlay. Personal recordings later uploaded to YouTube fared slightly better, yet if you want my take, only the backup off-mic streams are acceptable quality. Ahab and Ricky can be reclaimed and adapted whenever. Technically, Ricky could release now, at least a part of it. Sound off in the comments if you prefer a series of like 6 20-minute videos, or if I should stick to 1 2-hour lump sum. Anywho, Vordt's Redux fumbled Meteor clones, then got bailed out by Frost. First ever use of Holy Liver, mixes well with heavy armor, fast to eat unlike Crab. Died once to Malekith after erasing like all of Garang's health in one interaction, got hit by a bunch of dumb shit. If I weren't salty, I'd correctly assign blame to mid-roll mobility not clearing hitboxes. Instead, I'll blame the game. Elden Ring robbed Vordt of a first try victory. You can tell I was getting tired, throwing shit out at random. Can't judge me though, it netted a riposte. A fairly frail boss like Malekith shows off the boon I'm getting from Frost and Lacerating Cross Tree. Vordt can feel a little weak without those active. Or if he gets one shot, thank you Gideon. I was aware of his imminent burst, yet stupid soul mass ate my input. Vordt could not pin this mage down. Should have got magic liver too. Dragon Ice during Aeonia didn't work so well this time, however it was a sick setup into a running finish. Didn't use Club Interrupt, yet I'll classify Frost Stun combo as clean. Glad I allocated blue. Vordt lacked monstrous bulk versus Piss Free. Now I can boldly tank strikes which would cut down any ordinary man. Eventually found rhythm as Horlu tried his best to stop this hulking mass. Pretty fun to return his roar. A Frost proc cut our little standoff short. Frost is good versus Ratican. I am not. He knocked me silly. Great hammer timings do not feel intuitive against this freak. Helps you have the correct shield talisman equipped. Regardless, not my best showing. However, it does show off Vordt's signature tanking. Therefore, I retroactively claim this as his intended playstyle. Who needs Flask for Elden Beast anyway? A better liver will do just fine. No, really, he's dead already. From Dragon Ice, haha! Had I not fucked up mounting the horse, I'd avoid even using the one flask. Not too shabby, a sentiment extending to the rest of the run's back half. Vordt's final form was broadly more effective, if less varied than Udix Gundyr. Button-wise, there's little going on, though talismans provide bespoke mechanics to consider in combat, and Frost makes up the difference. A mighty build, but one which experienced hardship to achieve. Vordt wasn't a champion like Gundyr. It was only through Pontiff's corrupting gaze that he becomes extraordinary, and the run reflects that. Now he'll see through his master's machinations, whatever they may entail. I'll put Vordt in B tier for Boreal. Honestly, I don't remember Gundyr enough to compare the two. Right, I do DS3 SL1 runs into Journey to Fresh Start boss LARP. It also seems like past me doesn't take notes for these. Well, I do recall feeling lost as to how best approach routing. I ought to draft up pace notes. Maybe go the extra mile, turn into a guide vid. A guide for me, like the other guides I make. To be fair, winging it produced a sub 5-hour run. Pontiff tripped me up, figures he'd hold down his soon-to-be guard dog. Tried out a pyro build thinking range might help versus Aldrich, but damage was too low. I'll just have to avoid ground fire trails. Each boss generally saw one death, soul seeing more, as you'd expect. You'll observe the Outrider set. In both the original and Redux, I had no issue obtaining it. Frankly, the Lothric Castle one is harder, maybe even Road of Sacrifice guide too. Plenty of space to duel comfortably. I should also mention the old run tried to forgo Dragonslayer axe. Bad idea. Twins were tenable using lower DPS, Soul was not. Get the axe. Creighton is tough, risks burning all your embers, but it's non-negotiable. Maybe Vordt should have one-handed against Vordt. It's not like Vordt can't do it. I'm only using Vordt items for Vordt's build, so no sidearm, but that doesn't mean Vordt is forced to two-hand. The R1 isn't quite accurate enough to stagger Vordt, though poise damage was strong enough versus Udix. Lacking power to bust Greatwood's balls, or rather lacking power versus all. Hence I rushed down scales. Need to power up, lest I continue to be bullied by Gruz. No stamina and low AR makes early Dancer tough. Frost can't bail me out either. Both Outriders put up a noteworthy fight. Once I got the tree slab, DS3 got knocked on its ass. Could have one-handed for Yorm. R2s are vertical and do hit his head, though levels in tow, it's hard to give up two-hand strength boost. Permits Vordt to bite the hand that feeds, destroying Pontiff. Aldrich was a mess at the start, then I got him in a solid melee loop. I can't be bothered to recount every fight at this point. Damage on Journey 2 was pleasingly high, really only dropping versus Frida. Not Area though, he got wrecked like any frost vulnerable target. Probably shouldn't tank Soul, still Vordt charged him down to bring this disaster of a production to a close. Definitely gonna revamp my workflow when we tackle Wood next time.